Hi, everybody. It's Norman Kochnick here. Um, I'm in Sydney, Australia, but the focus of attention is now almost entirely on England, or in particular Lords. We have the the ICC World Test Championship for 2025, the third iteration of it coming up on June 11th, which in fact is only 2 days away. A 5-day test between Australia and South Africa. And we'll go into the detail a bit more later. Of course, in 21, New Zealand beat India. 23, Australia beat India. And now 25, Australia once again, possibly back to back, will play South Africa, who have not won an ICC tournament at all. They won a Champions Trophy way back in, I think, that's way back in the very earliest days. But that is in fact the only championship trophy they've won in the ICC field. They won none others, such as the T20 or the ODIs, as in the 50 over, or the World Test Championship. They've not won any, they've not been involved, and they usually, unfortunately, choke. Daunting that they could actually be here. They played, as many people have been saying, a substandard set of countries. They put a completely unique team in there recently, a few years back, when they were all in amongst the various franchise cricket formats. But in fact, the most dramatic thing is they really haven't played Australia. They haven't played any of the top teams. Anthony, Julius, I have tickets for day 4. Hopefully it goes up that far on that day. Well, if I'm being really honest with you, as far as form is concerned, it shouldn't go 4 days. South Africa is not, really, they're not up to the standard. I shouldn't be so rude because they might shock us. The batting is still, I think, rather underdone. Australia's a proven test team. They've got a few issues which we'll talk about regarding whether certain batters will be in the order or all rounders. We'll get to that in a minute. But effectively, Australia, on form, on record, should absolutely smack South Africa, and it won't last 4 days. That's really the honest, true opinion in this match. I'm rather amused by the way that the ICC have got its titling South Africa versus Australia. I think, out of respect to Australia, not only because they won the previous World Test Championship, but the true standings should be Australia versus South Africa. South Africa may have qualified first. It's not relevant to the way they've qualified. Leaves a lot to be desired. The mace is in the hands of Pat Cummins, with, of course, Travis Head being the player of the match, the previous championship in 23. In 21, of course, it was Cole Jamieson, who was involved with the IPL final just the other day. In fact, he was the player of the match of that match when New Zealand beat India. So India have been in there twice. Australia have been in there only once and now twice. Effectively, Australia have won, New Zealand have won, India have been in there 2 times. The reality is that South Africa are below, in my opinion, Australia, India, New Zealand, and quite frankly, even Sri Lanka. So I'm a bit bemused as to why they're here. Okay, put that to one side. We'll get to that later. We'll go through the teams themselves. But I've asked a few guests to come on, but we may not get guests today. But David Graven, you know, like there, people have asked, as I would normally ask. Yeah, it's the Lord's pitch is in fact a belter. It's a good pitch. It's not sloping, but it should be. It's fairly early in the season, so it'll be a pretty good pitch. It's bound to be a bit of swing and favour for the bowlers, but the Australian team are well versed on this pitch. Only Bo Webster, I think, is one of the and Sam Constance is probably the only couple of players that haven't really played on that pitch. South Africa, well, they got players that really are a bit underdone as well. The truth is that no one who will win. Who will you replace Marnus with? Okay, I'll go shortly there. Context to the way that I would look at the teams, but we'll get to that in a minute. The Australian squad is it's a very strong squad. I mean, we've got the likes of, obviously they got Labuschagne is up the order potentially, but the order would probably normally have been, and I'm saying normally, I would have imagined Kawaja would still be the opener. He's an out and out opener. He's going to be in the team. Sri Lankan form was good. Unfortunately, Constance didn't didn't get a very good go there. Travis Head opened up in that innings, but the argument at the moment is whether Constance or Sam Constance or in fact Labuschagne should be the openers, and that's based on both Cam Green now batting very well, having come back from his injuries, having scored centuries in England just of late, and Bo Webster been in great form throughout the summer and came on the last test matches for Australia, played really well. The chances are they may play both of them, Cam Green and Bo Webster. And if that is the case, then Labuschagne has to be placed somewhere else in the order. It would normally have been at 1-3 and then with Smith at 4, but the fact remains that they want to have Cam Green on the side up the order, and they may well put him in at first drop or perhaps even second drop and have Smith at first. That'll mean Labuschagne up the order or out of the team because Travis Hill won't be dropped, and with Carey's there and Bo Webster comes to the side. So the Australian side, there's one quandary whether Sam Constance will be selected over Labuschagne if Labuschagne is forced to compete for the opening spot. Whether Bo Webster will be selected is the second. Cam Green's back in, almost certainly. But the third category, which to me is the most, also another interesting aspect, is whether Boland will go in as opposed to Hazelwood. Now, Hazelwood, as you all know, in the IPL only recently played sensationally, and in fact, his RCB Royal Challengers Bengaluru won the match against the Punjab Kings in the final. So Hazelwood is forever in finals, forever winning. Although Scott Boland, every time he comes in, performs particularly well. So it's a hard decision. They've also got another person who I believe should be the side, Josh Inglis, again a player from the IPL final who played particularly well in a losing side, but played particularly well, is also worthy of being in the side. He scored a century on the debut against Sri Lanka. There's a lot of players that are on the, and then you've got there's a few others as well, but the main team selection, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going to say unfortunately, seems to be leaning towards Labuschagne, and he may well then go to opener. And they're saying he's batting well in the nets. Look, I'm sick of people telling me how well people bat in the nets. I want them to bat well in the game and bat at a pace which is noted, because I don't think Labuschagne's a natural opener, even though he bats high in the order. He's been very out of form for the last couple of years. We hear Ricky Ponting talk. He's pretty emphatic about saying, I believe he's saying Constance over Labuschagne. George Bailey, the head of selectors, along with obviously Andrew McDonald, the coach of Australia, will be thinking about what they're going to do. I saw Constance batting also on the nets. He looked fantastic facing Stark. He was pinning the ball beautifully. And a more controlled innings, not the usual flipping over the top of slip with his scoop shots, but it was some very controlled, very good shots. So the Australians, Usman will rock in the final. I agree he will too. I think that's one definite fact. I think he's a star in this format. So the likely test side, and I don't agree with this at all, but the likely test side will be Khawaja and Labuschagne as opener. I would say / Constance. So the decision between Labuschagne or Constance. First drop will either be Cam Green or Steve Smith, but they'll be 3 and 4. Then you'll have to look at 5 being, of course, good old Travis Head. 6 will either be Alex Carey or Bo Webster at 7. 8 will then take on 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, 11 will be the 4 bowlers in whatever order: Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, and Lyon. We've got they've got some spin back up as well. But I think the Australian side is pretty well settled with that line. Look, players are certainly fall in. This is the point for me. Josh Inglis has not got a spot. We're really favouring Bo Webster and Cam Green. Cam Green now is not going to bowl. That's pretty sure he's going to bat. Bo Webster would come in as the um, medium pacer to actually take the slack from Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, with Lyon there as well. That's probably going to be the side. So, Manu John, no rain in 5 days. Well, it's hard to know whether there's going to be rain. Lords is a notoriously unpredictable weather-wise, but at this point, I'm not hearing of any rain. So we'll wait and see what the story is there. So let's go back to Manu John. How are you? What was he saying there? Just over overcast clouds. Yeah, well, that doesn't mean anything in England. We never know what's going to happen there. But let's take a step back here. Let's assume that Australia, for some reason, they're going to have virtually two all rounders, but one not bowling, as in Cam Green. Cam Green will actually go over the top of Josh Inglis. Now, that to me, when Khawaja decides to retire, which could well be within 12 months, I'm predicting Josh Inglis will open the batting with Sam Constance. That's my prediction. And Labuschagne will either drop back to three with a reshuffle and Cam Green or Bo Webster being the ones they're going to choose between with the rest of the bowlers. That's my thoughts. But at this point in time, Josh Inglis can't force his way in, which is a real pity. To me, he's gold. Absolutely gold. He can wicket keep as well. Great fielder, great inspiration to the team, a great player. His century in Sri Lanka proved that to me. Constance needs to be given a proper go, but looks Lord's pitch. We keep getting asked the question. I think it's going to be a belter. It's going to be a good batting pitch, actually. And I'd bat first. Win the toss and bat first. Even though South Africa got Rabada and the like, they're a bit down there. But they got Marcus Jensen and Rabada and a couple of the younger bowlers there. They really haven't got. Oh, and the Giddies there as well, but they haven't got Norke, what his name is. He's not there. Their batting has got this left-hander who looks pretty good. To me, they're too iffy, and they'll need a lot of luck to go their way. And Bavuma is a shocker as far as I'm concerned, as a player, let alone a captain. Um, who'll open with Clive? I've been speaking about this already, Shashank. The word is, and unofficially the word, they're saying Labuschagne, but I wouldn't be surprised if Constance does get the Guernsey. Josh Inglis is there as the third choice. Khawaja will probably. I reckon there's a good chance it'll be um, Labuschagne or Constance or Inglis. They're all fighting for that opening position. Labuschagne shouldn't be there at that spot position, but anyway, Steve Smith may elevate himself to three, or Cam Green will go with three, and they'll switch between Smith and Green as to the 3 and 4 in the order. Definitely Travis Head will follow at 5. 6 will be Alex Carey or Bo Webster, and then the 4 bowlers, which we know. Again, I said Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, and Lyon. The Australian team just seems to be too experienced to not see as a major threat here. If Australia win the toss and bat first and get a good total, Australia will just squeeze the life out of South Africa. I can't see South Africa getting a big score there. Smith, yeah, Smith hasn't been in what I would call great form, to be honest with you. Um, Ultimately, Smith may not be there. And I'm talking about 12 to 18 months. We'll probably see the likes of Khawaja and Smith not be in the side. Labuschagne may still be able to stick around, but Constance will be elevated. And English permanent roller, Cam Green will probably stay there with Bo Webster. So you might well see in the future, if Khawaja and Smith retire, you might well see Josh Inglis and Constance opening with Cam Green at 3, maybe Labuschagne at 4 or 3. No, in fact, I'll take that back. It'll probably be Josh Inglis, Constance, Labuschagne, Cam Green, Travis Head, Bo Webster, and then the same bowling line, unless they decide to have a few retirements there. So Smith and Kawaja do have a number on their back in terms of how long they're going to be in there. And Inglis, as long as he's around with Constance, will be in their position. But for the moment, Australia seem to be hell bent on having Green and Bo Webster in the side. Green is a batter only, Bo Webster is an all rounder, which would prompt Labuschagne batting somewhere else than 3 or 4. There's only one other spot that's number 1 or 2 with Kawaja. And that's very temporary, in my opinion, very temporary. And I don't think it's a good long-term solution. And for such a critical match, the World Test Championship, I don't know. A match winner's there in Constance. Let him be there. I don't know why he wasn't selected in Sri Lanka to put Travis Head in there. You don't stuff around with the opening positions like that. So there's a lot to be said about that whole aspect. Is Scott Boland playing? Well, Josh Inglis seems to be, not Josh Inglis, Josh Hazelwood seems to be fit enough. He certainly is capable of playing. We know he plays well in big matches. We know that. As a la the RCB final in the IPL versus Punjab Kings, he killed it. He's a winner in all formats. And it looks as though they're going to keep him in there over Scott Boland. Mitchell Stark's definitely going to be playing. He's fit. There seems to be no fitness clouds over any of the players. A very subdued Travis Head, I must say. Bo Webster he's never played at Lords, which is intriguing. He'll be busting it up to play. He can bat, we know that. Pat Cummins, okay. Why is Stark didn't again? What I'm not getting something, but Stark's still a very capable. And on this pitch, he'd be lethal. South Africans won't handle him. Bavuma is very average at best. Cluston's not there, which I think is an interesting one. He was one I would have thought. They've got a young left-arm batter who looks the goods, but he hasn't played Australia and will probably be found out early against Australia. This is only a one Test match effort, a final. It's all on the. This is a huge test for South Africa. They're well out of their depth. It'll be like all their might to not only play well enough to win, but to have the hoodoo off their back of not winning an ICC tournament. Choking in semi-finals, choking in finals. They never take a trick. They're smashed every single time when it counts the most. How they're going to overdo that, especially at Lords, in a one-off match without any build-up of like practice, is beyond me. Mr. Stark is better. Mitchell Stark's still at his best. Hazelwood's still at his best. Pat Cummins is captain. He's obviously going to be in there. Lyon is still a very experienced spin bowler. We've got the full squad, the full Australian squad, as we know. I mean, it seems to. Not sure Charlie Cody reacting to my post there. I have a lot of great followers there, and I'm very proud of those girls. And just trying to basically get their reaction to who they think's going to be playing. I was wondering, okay, let's just go back in a minute and let's just have a look here. Let's just look at the Australian team, or the squad at least. So yeah, there we go. There we see the squads. Okay, let's just go through the squads in a bit more detail. Okay, the South Africans. Well, we've got to Australia first. I've mentioned Labuschagne probably open. Sam Constance may miss out. Steve Smith will go at 4. Travis said 5. It was been quite an opener. Bo Webster 6. Cam Green 3. Alice Carey 7. Josh Ingles will miss out. Brendan Dockett's the other one that's there. The fast man. He's going to be a backup, won't play. Hazelwood, Stark, Lyon, and Cummins definitely. Scott Boland is close. And then there's Matthew Kuhneman as the backup spinner. That's the 15. Interesting how Brendan Dockett's got in there. I don't know. He was probably a shadow player at best. South Africa, well, they've got some. Look, Aiden Markram's experienced, but is not good enough to take on Australia, in my opinion. David Beckingham, I know very little about him. Got a bit of a rap on him. Bavuma's not a captain that I would rate. Tony DeZonzi, he's apparently got the goods, but he hasn't played Australia yet. Tristan Stubbs, well, he's got potential there, but I don't know whether he's up to it yet. Corbin Bosch, right-hand batsman on fast medium bowler. He's an all-rounder. He's in the side. Marco Jensen, of course, we know that he's good quality. Sonoran Muthuswamy, he's a spin bowler, left arm off spinner. Juan Mulder, now he's a bit of a dasher, meant to be coming in the squad. Kyle Varane, of course, is the keeper. Ryan Rickelson is also was coming late. He's another keeper. Dave Patterson is a fast medium. Then you got Rabada, Keshav, Maharaj, and Nagiri. So Nagiri, Rabada, pretty good, but they haven't got Nokia. That's a big loss for them, in my opinion. The South African side are lacking a backup set of bowlers. And I don't think this Maharaj won't really trouble Australia on Lords. They're batting. I'm struggling to see anyone that's got any ability there. Tony Zonzi apparently hasn't, but I haven't seen him play against. Well, doesn't play Australia. Aidan Markham is on and off. Bavoon will get 50, but it'll be a bloody slow 50. Marco Jensen can hit, but it's not a one-day match. So really, South Africa, very worrying, very distressing. Cummins beat since McGrath. Okay, look, Pat Cummins has got the winning formula. He's got the Midas touch. So is Hazelwood. So is Lyons. So is Stark. Enormous experience. Hundreds of test matches between them. Not thousands, but fast approaching. Probably is 1,000 test wickets between them. Incredible quartet. They're all 200 plus, and they're bowling. Obviously, Lyons going well past 500. Well, there's a dynamic duo, or foursome, I should say. But Webster's very promising. Cam Green's batting well. Travis Head, we know he's won the player of the match in the last World Test Championship. Carey's pretty solid. He's good. Khawaja is evergreen. He's there. Smith on his way out, you would argue, but still good. I keep saying that. I know he's got 10,000 plus test runs. He could bat for a lot longer, yes, I know, but I think his days are numbered. Khawaja's admittedly is too, and that's where Josh Inglis and Constance come into play. Labuschagne, I won't go on too heavily about him. I think he's a real concern for me in this match. He hasn't been playing well for a couple of years. Wow, he played well. And Nets said, I think Khawaja made a comment. Oh, I don't go with it. I don't believe that you can show your great form in the nets. In the middle is where you show it on the day of a match. In the nets, you can certainly get yourself up to scratch, but you're still nowhere near certain of your form in the middle in a big match under the pressure of the match. And he came in many years ago when Steve Smith was hit by Jofra Archer. Remember, as a replacement in that match, and didn't look back for a while. Scored several thousand test runs, but just don't think, and he's starting to wobble the last couple of years, and I just don't think he's good for the side. I think he really puts a negativity on the team when he bats, and I'm not all for that. I like Constance, even though he hasn't been given the opportunity to score a century yet. He was in and out of the test side, for God's sake. He played against India and played a great knock the first time round. And then he played okay after that. Not selected for Sri Lanka, which I scratched my head at that. Now he's in, or is he out? He should be in. Stop favouring people who we know played okay in the past. Lots of comments going. Ravada is a worry, but he can't do it on his own. Nagidi is pretty good, but not a match winner. Ravada's a match winner. Barker Jensen is probably their main threat to support him, but they're going to need more than that against Australia, I would argue. Steve Smith, I hope he has a good match. I'm still not convinced of Labuschagne. I want to see Constance Smith. I know the side, as we've already started to talk about, is more than likely going to be Usman Khawaja with Marnus Labuschagne opening up, which is scratch my head. First drop will probably be, I believe, Steve Smith, followed by Cam Green, Travis Head at 5. 6 will be Alex Carey ahead of Bo Webster at 7. 8 will be probably Cummins. 9, Stark. 10 Lyon, 11 Hazelwood with Kerneman, Brendan Dockett, Boland, Josh Inglis, and Constance missing out. Yeah. South Africa's team, as I've said already, has a lot of, in my opinion, unknowns. They had the whole team out when they had them all playing in various franchise cricket, and they put it in charge of that over their normal cricket. Pretty frustrating. So again, the test goes from the World Test Championship final to Test match, the ICC World Test Championship final, which is being shown in Australia on Amazon Prime, which I've had to renew. It starts June 11, so 11 a.m. on June 11 London time, which will be, well, I think it'll be 10 a.m. Sorry, and it's at 7 p.m. Australian time. So June 11 to June 15th. It's my birthday tomorrow, being June 10. And my brother's birthday will be June 15th. There's a few birthdays. Well, anyway, I want to ask, are people in Australia will be tuned in to watch? Yes, they will. I've got no doubt. We all can get a month subscription to Amazon Prime, and then we can delete it after a month and not pay more than a month. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to pay for Amazon Prime more than that. Unless they want to be my sponsor. So yeah, the Aussies fan are doing, they're being out of form. Well, the Australians are not really out of form. Is that what to say? They've been in pretty good form, actually. Who is the new Warner? Warner, as in Shane Warne or Warner? New Shane Warne. We haven't got one. We've got Nathan Lyon, who's done pretty bloody well. He's got 500 plus test wickets. He's not to be sneezed at, is he? No, no sneezing at him. Sure, you know, Stark's got 300 plus. I think I'll get the list of the bowlers just now for you if you like. Let's have a look at the There we go. Good bowlers. I should go leading wicket takers, shouldn't I? Leading wicket takers. Okay, let's look at the test scenario there, shall we? Okay, Shane Warner, because we've got Nathan Lyon, who is currently third. He's actually seventh on the listing, quite incredible. But Morley, Warren, Anderson, Kumble, it's 4, 5 Broad, 6 McGrath, 7 is Lyon. He has taken 553 wickets. Oh my God, amazing. Ahead of Ashwin, and the kick going on the list, Dale Steyn gets a mention there, but he's not as high. Let's have a look where Stark is. There's Mitchell Stark's taken 382. So between those two, they've already got over 900 wickets. So Latham Line 553, 553 wickets. Oh my God, that's just staggering. 553 wickets, Nathan Lyon. That's no wonder he's in the side. Stark 382. Let's keep going on the list. Rabada's up there. He's got 327. Or was it 420? That's 327. So he's certainly a worthy of note. The Rabada's, the nemesis at the moment. Let's look down here. We'll try and find out where Hazelwood is. Hazelwood, 279. So he's below Rabada. And of course, Cummins is somewhere in amongst them as well. Cummins is he's 294. So Hazelwood 279, Cummins 294, Stark 380 odd, 550. My God, that's almost 1,300 wickets between them. That's a ginormous number of four bowlers they have. It's quite staggering. So crazy. What is your question? What is your question? You're writing it so many times I can't see it. Where is it? Lion is really, really underrated. I guess a lot of wickets. Yeah, he's underrated. Well, 553 wickets. 553. 380 odd for Stark. 290 odd for Cummins. 270 odd for Hazelwood. Those four bowlers, just staggering. It's almost 1,000 just between Cummins, Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark. Actually, just under 1,000 between the three of them. There's 553 from Lyon. Oh my God! And Cameron Green, when he bowls, he's not bowling though. He's still got recovery from I think a back surgery, in fact, which put him out of action for quite some time. He's back batting and batting sensationally, and obviously could bowl if pushed. But the stress fracture side of things would be probably too notable for that. No, he's not going to be given that. So yes, so let's say between 1,300 and 50. Well, let's get exacted. Let's go for 553, 382. That's 930 odd. And we got 1220 with and then a further. Yeah, it's just on 1,500. 1,500 wickets between our 1,500 wickets between our top four bowlers. So they're averaging 375 each, with two above and two below. Staggering. 1,500 wickets. So for Rabada's certainly worthy of note, 327, but he's on his Pat Malone there. Marco Jensen would not be anywhere near that at this point. Maharaj would probably have a few. He's been around for, but the rest, the Giddy's pretty, middleish in the rankings. So really, Nokia would have been a big difference for the South African side, I must say. Klassen, I don't know why he's not on the side. He would be worthy. He's retired. He's too busy with the short format, even though this is a one-off test match. Their batting side, Tristan Stubbs is pretty good, but very lacking in experience, especially against Australia, and certainly at Lords. I think what the pressure will be ginormous. Whereas the Australian team, except for Bo Webster, I think they've all played on that field multiple times in multiple significant matches, including a World Test Championship in 23. So really, World Test Champion 23, they played there, won the match. Travis there was the man of the match. Was he opener that time? No, he batted well. With all that experience, Constance, I reckon he'd really show. He'd like Rabada's pace. Quite incredible. Yeah, South Africa, to me, Australia will bat first, and I would imagine get quite a few runs, and then put enormous pressure on the South African batters, and they could well be following on and be all out by day 3 or 4. I cannot see Australia being pushed. But look, it's a one-off match. Who knows what's going to happen? A lot of things would have to go wrong for Australia to not be in the winning position to win the match. A lot of things going to go wrong. The sheer experience of Australia having won the last World Cup of 2023, World Test Championship, I should call it, made the 21 final against India. So they've been in the last two finals in England at this time of the year, a one-off match, lots of experience. All the bowling attack's been involved. Alex Carey, I'm sure, was involved with at least the last one. Yeah, it's astounding. Steve Smith's been there. You really having Kawaj has always been around. Dave Warner's certainly not there, but okay. They seem to be struggling by the replacement for him, but Constance is the future, the way he's playing. Give him a go. Let him be. Take the risks. Drop Labuschagne, well, I don't know whether we really need a fifth bowler. They got four bowlers in the three paces and a spinner. Cam Green can't bowl, so that's the reason why Bo Webster would play. If Cam Green could bowl, then you could afford not to have Bo Webster and have Constance and Labuschagne in the batting order. Now, but Cam Green's been batting well and is appearing to be a batter only now and will be for some time a batter only. So we no longer call him the all rounder. Bo Webster has taken the place and has done well, as we said in the previous match. So, as Amazon Prime was saying, South Africa versus Australia. I don't like that. It should be Australia versus South Africa. What the hell is South Africa going first on that listing? It's not their home ground. They haven't, well, they're positioned slightly ahead for whatever tabling there was. They didn't play against Australia. They played very small amount of cricket against good sides, a lot of mediocre sides. Are they warranted or worthy of that? No, I don't think so. In fact, in my opinion, Australia, India, England, Sri Lanka, then South Africa. That's my order of how I see the world of Test cricket and how South Africa leapfrogged India, who stuffed up. They probably should have been in there again. They were on target to do so, but they didn't do it. So, okay, let's go back. I can see some of the questions are. Sorry, here we go. Moving overrun by questions. So again, Australia win the toss, bat first. Quads open with Labuschagne, Smith probably three, Green four, Head five, six, Carey seven, Bo Webster, and then the perennial four of Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, and Lyon. We've heard those names a lot. Between them, some 1,500 Test wickets. On average, 370 odd per player. Oh my God. Nathan Lyon, 553 Test wickets. What a record. He's seventh on the list. Seventh. Incredible overall. It's quite staggering. I mean, Ashwin's retired, so he's beaten Ashwin. He's got Glenn McGrath in front of him, and he's not all that far from reaching Glenn McGrath. Could well be the second highest wicket taker in Australian history, behind, of course, Shane Warne. With Murali, Warne, Kumble's in there, you've got Anderson and Broad. They're all in that top five, with McGrath as sixth and then Lyon seventh. Yeah, Anderson and Broad have gone into the top five. Kumble's in the top three, if I'm not wrong, with Morley and Warne in there as well. So Morley, Warne, Kumble, the spinners, Anderson, Broad, Pacers in the top five. Al McGrath came sixth, and Lyon, our other spinner, is at seven. Remarkable. Stark's got a bit more time. He's got 382, I think it is. He could march into a higher ranking, depending on how many matches he's got. But it is interesting. The Australian team have a lot of players that have probably reached their point of no return. I mean, Stark, even Hazelwood, and Lyon, along with Khawaja and Smith, their careers are, in terms of age, they would have seen the better part of their career already past them, and they've all got great records to show. But we'll need to see Boland. Boland's not young. He's not young at all. Brendan Doggett's down. He's been fair. I think another cover player too, another bowler. But that's where their squad's sitting at the moment. All right. Any other further questions, guys? But that's where I believe Australia will win and win handsomely. South Africa will have to pull an absolute miracle performance. They're all guns blazing. Everything go their way. All the luck go their way. Bavuma's not good enough a captain. Aidan Markham was fair to middling. These other younger players have got potential, but they're not ready for this. No class, and it's bewildering. Mulder seems to be a bit of an all-rounder, but is he going to perform today? He may well hit a few runs, but we're not sure. Rabada is the key to their bowling, and without him bowling well, Ngiddi's not good enough. Maharaj won't penetrate that much with his spin. Doesn't leave much for South Africa to do, and I think Australia bats first. It'll be a foregone conclusion. It could well be 3 or 4 days if things go the way that I expect it to. But a lot has to happen in South Africa's favour. All the luck, all the shortcomings need to go their way for them to have any chance of winning this game. And they know, and forgetting all of those factors, the chokeability of this team is staggering. Having never won a trophy other than a Champions Trophy back in the very early days, no substantial trophies since. None of the uh, formats of T20, ODI, or Tests have they gone into. And somehow they've made this final, and I think they can count the lucky stars. At least they can show on record that they've been in a final. I can't see Australia losing, having won the last time 23, being in the 21 final as well. Actually, no, I'll take that back. They weren't in the 21 final. It was actually New Zealand versus India. My apologies. 23, they were in the final, but not 21. But they've all got experience of winning a World Test Championship 2 years ago. They're in a great mental and physical state to take it out again against the South African team who just don't know how to win a major tournament, and especially against Australia. If it had been someone else, they may have had a chance, but they are just chokers of the highest grade. And it's disgraceful to say this, but it's true. I've seen no evidence of them changing, whether it's the men's or women's format of cricket. By the way, they've choked in both formats, both leagues. Bavuma's been the captain throughout a lot of those chokes as well. Aidan Markham has been there through a lot of those chokes. So are they who can they go to learn from? No one. Rabada's been admirable, good, but just not good enough. This young left-hander, Tony DeZonzi, whatever his name is, he might be okay, but he's just not. It's just not going to all come together in one Test match. No way. But stranger things have happened in Test cricket, I know. But I don't think I've heard of anyone say anything else but that. The question is, does South Africa deserve to be there in the first place? That's my question. I don't think they do. But statistically, for whatever reason, they've got their points table up there and they've been able to. I'm sure the next cycle they won't be getting a smooth run as they have this time. Australia have played very well throughout the whole cycle, and they're in there, and deservedly so. They won 23. It was New Zealand and India who won, got through 21. New Zealand won that, so India didn't win. So actually, India have been in more World Cup Test Championship finals than anyone else, with two, but having lost two. This will be Australia's second, and they win that. Not only will they be in two, they'll have won two. Incredible. Can't see how it's. They'd be better. They have probably more chances in a shorter format. But they still choke on those levels. They've got more time to choke in a Test match, more twists and turns to really do their head in. And the England crowd, will they favour Australia? Will they favour South Africa? That's a good question. They could be somewhat important, but I can't see them favouring South Africa when Australia go marching ahead. My only question mark is the Labuschagne factor. Bo Webster and Cam Grant will play out of their skin. Travis Head, big batch winner. And of course, the bowling attack. They've been in so many finals, which they've won and won handsomely. They know how to win finals, usually to build up to it. It's only a one-off match here. Really, the top team is not South Africa and Australia. It's Australia, India, England, Sri Lanka, then maybe South Africa, followed by the West Indies and the Pakistans, Bangladesh as well. Pakistan probably deserve to be up above South Africa in my eyes, but they seem to also have problems winning when it counts. But no, South Africa, just on paper, certainly not look like they're going to have a chance. Bavuma is not a good enough captain for Test cricket. I'm certain of that. He hasn't got the technical nous to outdo Australia. Even though it's Pat Cummins has won everything that he's touched. Hazelwood's won everything he's touched of late. Stark's the same. Smith certainly does. Kawaja, Travis Head, they've all been. Josh Inglis, although he's not in the team, certainly had a golden run. Scott Boland always said, well, we're not playing at the MCG, but that's all right. Quite a significance. I watched a couple of other, one on Prime, on Amazon Prime. There's two, I don't know, two very amateurish, I'm sorry, guys that talked to some of the Australians about the tests, and they were very jovially flippant and sarcastic, and I don't appreciate that. I just think they're a bit overrated, but I'm not going to say who they are. I'm sure you do know who they are, but I'm not going to say who they are. I've got no time for them. I don't think much of them. But anyway, that's their luck. They've seemed to be put forward by certain mediums. And as far as Australian media is concerned, we're pretty sound in what we have on that'll be there. Daniel Breddick is a great writer. He's one for the long-term future. Ben Horn, great writer as well. I like him a lot. Yeah, they're two of my more, and Andrew Webster, he's more in rugby league these days, but I like what he does as well. Yes. All right. Any other questions? To me, the Australian team, will reiterate again for those that may have just joined us, the Australian team is likely to be Usman Khawaja with Marnus Labuschagne opening, 3, Cam Green, C. Smith, 3 and 4. Perhaps the other way around, but they'll be 3 and 4. Then Travis Head, followed by Bo Webster, 5 and 6, with Alex Carey, 7. And then the 4 bowlers of Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, and Lyon, in whatever order you want to pick between them. Matthew Kuhneman's there as a support. Brendan Doggett won't be selected, but he's there to support. Scott Boland was close to pressing a position, but won't be selected. Josh Inglis should be in the side, in my opinion, will be eventually. Scored a great century in Sri Lanka. He's not in there as well. And Constance will fall out because of Labuschagne's promotion to the order to allow Webster and Cam Green to be both the side. Australia, any outs, any people unavailable that would have made the side? No, I don't think there are. Actually, there's no. We've got pretty much a full strength Australian side there. Michael Nisa was floating around, but he's not in the side. So the Australian side's pretty much at its top. So young guys like Jason Sanger are playing well for South Australia, and they won the Sheffield Shield and then the Australia A sides. They're future players. Nathan McSweeney had a bit of a horror run towards the end, and he was dropped. He's still floating around, but I think Jason Sanger's a future captain of Australia. He captained the Australian under-19 team very well. Has scored centuries against most of the international teams. Stylish, underwater batsman. Can bowl spin, but should stick to his batting. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to like about Jason Sanger, and he has been playing well for South Australia, having moved from New South Wales to South Australia. The other one is Adam Zampa, a good spin bowler, hasn't really been given an opportunity because Lyon's been there for so long. I think Adam Zampa should still fly around. Marcus Stoinis, please, he's not in that. Well, Mitch Marsh, he was there or thereabouts, but now that Bo Webster and Cam Green are there, I don't think Mitch Marsh is going to get into the test format anyway. He'll be certainly around the short format, and as you see, he's playing IPL and playing IPL very, very well indeed. South African side, I'm going to read it out to you just to be. I mean, Rabada's one player that certainly is worthy of note, and Marco Jensen is certainly another. Ada Markham, Bavuma, they're tested players. They're okay. Tristan Stubbs is not a bad bat. Corbin Bosch, I know very little about him, but he's an all-rounder. Sinuran Muthusami is a left-arm spin, left-arm bat. Was one Mulder they're talking highly about. David Beckham, I don't know much about him. Kyle Vereen, good keeper. May not be the keeper to be selected, though. Ryan Rickleton may be the one that gets the hit. Dane Peterson, not bad, but Rabada, Maharaj, and the Giddy are the experienced 3 there. Was in It's saying here that, quote from Bavuma, I was locked in the bathroom sulking. Temba Bavuma on his path from Township to the World Test Championship final. God, I don't like that type of so Dzonzi is the one they're talking about, maybe for the future, but he's not yet primed for this. It'll be a shock that if he makes it. The Australian squad, as I said, Kuhneman's there, Boland, Brendan Doggett, and Josh Inglis are the backups with Constance to the team. Labuschagne opening, I'm still not happy with that. I really am not happy with that. You'll not hear me talk enough about how frustrating that is. All right, guys, that's my wrap up for the preview to the World Test Championship, the ICC World Test Championship, to be played at Lords on June 11 to June 15 between Australia and South Africa. An Australian team that's basically full strength, has to make some decisions about 2 or 3 positions, but they pretty much have, I think. They might shock me and have Constance in Labuschagne. I'll be interested to see whether that happens. Yeah, so that's, and I'm predicting Australia will win under 4 days, maybe 3, but let's be conservative and say 4 days. And Australia should win the toss and bat first and just pile on the runs and then put a lot of hurt on a South African side that will feel out of place in a final of the World Test Championship, I can assure you. But it's a true test for them, not for Australia. Australia been there, done that, won ODIs, T20s, World Cups, as the World Test Championships. You name the trophies, they've won them. Only India has really been in the league of them for a while. England were there for a while. But so they never won one. Look, they can't go to any of their previous players like an Alan Donald or a Graham Smith and say, what was it like to win the World Cup or win the ICC trophy? They'll go, well, we haven't done it. Graham Smith was there. He's had a lot to do with Lords. He scored some big double centuries at Lords. He certainly is someone of note on that ground, but it wasn't a World Test Championship. Wasn't a final. So really, it's a bit lacking there. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me. This is Norman Kochling on Eyes on Sports, or more regularly known as Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek. I've got 53,700 plus subscribers now. Pretty happy. Stay tuned. We'll get together more often over the European summer. England will be playing India in a 5-test series, the World Test Championship, of course. And various other iterations will be on as well. So I have some guests on. I hope to have my regulars there as well. But this is a preview that I thought I'd just do rather, what's the word for it? I put it together rather promptly when I see all the discussions out there. So stay tuned. Eyes on Sports with a Z. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Cosby. View, like, and share, and subscribe. Take care. See you soon. All the best.